Hi folks, I'm Robert Alewine. On Alewine Pottery on Glades Road in Gatlinburg. It's getting winter time, and I'd like to invite you to come out to the shop this winter. We have a lot to offer. Gatlinburg has a lot to offer this time of year. There's things about this town that most people don't know, that in the winter time, how pretty the mountains are, especially when we've had a snow or a heavy frost in the mornings. We've got skiing. The traffic is way less. We've got the Smoky Mountain lights going on that they start preparing in early November to get ready for it, and the town's beautiful. There's not near as many people here, so you can still enjoy all the things we have to offer. A lot of restaurants, and we have our shop open. We run from 9 to 5 in the wintertime, Monday through Saturday. We still close on Sundays. And I'd like for you to invite you out. We got this big, beautiful fireplace, and it is going every day, just like it is right now. It won't cool down until spring. And come out and have a cup of coffee with me and sit by the fire. I've got people still working, and you can visit with us. And it's a much slower pace. I've been making pottery all my life. Started when I got out of high school, and this is the 45th year for me now. It is such a rewarding life, and it's so nice to have made so many friends over the years all over this country. And people come in, and it's a big deal to come in and visit with us and see what we've done. I tell folks I'm an old coffee hound. I drink a lot of coffee, have since as long as I can remember. And one of the most rewarding parts of my business is that I know every day thousands upon thousands of people get up in the morning drinking coffee out of our mugs and having a good thought about us. People get so personal with these mugs, and they won't let anybody else drink out of their mugs. And they call me sometimes all upset because they've broken one and want me to send them another. And it just gets to be such a personal pot for them. And I take that very seriously. So I'd like for you to come out. We got a shop full of mugs. And every year it seems like we get more and more variety. Now we're putting emblems on them of different things. And you can kind of pick through and find one that fits your personality. We've got mugs with names on them. We got plenty of mugs with leaves on them, which is kind of our signature. And come by and see them, and we'll have a cup of coffee together.
What are you buying, a mug?
Today, one of the things, but we get here about once a month.
Really?
And leave with something every time.
So
At least one something.
Really? So what all do you have? List them.
I have 2 platters, I have several bowls, mixing bowls, lots of mugs, baking dishes, I think kind of you name it.
You got it. Mm-hmm. Do you give them away as gifts a lot?
Some are for some are for others, and there's many family members that have pieces too. So.
What's your favorite? What intrigues you most about it?
The colors, and I mean just like the bright colors, and then I love the leaves. That I like that touch, and then a lot of times the drips, like.
You're a jet mom.
Yeah. Yeah.
You look for the drips.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, great.
Our weary hearts, a song of hope, and friends we love so dear. Dating tonight, dating tonight, ending hunting old campground.
one group of animals that the Great Smoky Mountains National Park would be particularly famous for, it would be its salamanders. Here we have about 26 species of salamanders, whereas in some of your western parks, especially in the southwest, they may have 1 or 2 or 3. But here, of course, we have climatic conditions and vegetation conditions which make this possible. Our salamanders range from a little critter up on the top of our highest mountains that is only 1.5 inches long when it's fully mature, to the giant hellbender in the lower streams, a specimen of which we've collected that was 29.5 inches long. That happened to be a record specimen hellbender. And in between, there are a number of salamanders, most of them in the range of 3 to 5 inches long, and one that occurs nowhere else. If we were to go to a place like Indian Gap, 1.5 miles west of Newfound Gap, and turned over a half a dozen rocks, the chances are very good that we would find the red-cheeked salamander. Some scientists call it the Jordan's salamander. This animal is about 3 to 3.5 inches long when full grown, is mostly black, except the cheeks are an orange or red color. This particular salamander, as I said before, occurs nowhere else. And that's rather unusual for a salamander to have such a limited range. These salamanders, of course, are amphibians. They're related to frogs and toads. They lay their eggs either in the water or in very moist places. And their time of activity is largely in late winter and early spring. Some of our salamanders, like the so-called newt, N-E-W-T, may lay eggs as early as January in the low, quiet water.
This is one of America's and the world's oldest traditional toys. It's an old-time spinning button. Used to be made with an overcoat button or any big button. If you didn't have a button, you could use an old hunk of tree bark. But it is an old toy. We had a lot of old-time toys here in the mountains because we didn't have stores and we didn't have roads when the mountains were settled. Aside from that, there wasn't a lot of cash money for things like toys. People had cash money, they used it for necessities of life. They didn't waste it on toys. So toys were homemade, and the folks made things like this spinning button. They made dolls out of corn shucks and played with them, or dolls out of dried apple heads, and all kinds of things like that. We have another traditional toy with us. That's the old-time lumberjack or dancing man. And he does a little more than just sort of sit around. He works best to some good old-time mountain dance music. Let's have some good old-time dance music.
Alright, this is the glazing department, and what you're going to see here are mostly just raw chemicals mixed up in water, and that's how we get all of our glazes. As you can tell here, we have quite a few of them. Stony, red gold. Actually, I need to probably open these for you, to where you can kind of see them a little better. There we go. So they all kind of look a little different in this form, in the wet form. They're not all going to come out this way after they're fired. So stony, we got red gold. This is our classic white. One of our more interesting glazes, Lady Blue. We use this one a lot to top other glazes, so a lot of layering is involved with this one, but it highlights a lot of the other glazes very well. We got green right here, which is one of the few that actually looks like the color it turns out to. Black, same way, it's pretty black. red, which is actually white, so you'd never guess that that would be red when it's fired. Yellow, we have what do we call Miami, which is our light blue color. It can range from a dark blue jean color to a very like sky blue type of color, depending on the thickness and the firing and all that sort of stuff. And then this is our Timiku, which is one of my personal favorites. It's a very old glaze. Probably say, you know, comes from a Japanese background. It's a very old glaze, but beautiful. Looks great over everything. It layers well, and one of my personal favorites. So that's the gist of all of them that we use here, and they're all high fire glazes. So we fire to cone 10 reduction, and most of our clay is all stoneware. So, all right, this is what I get from the process. This is just a leaf mug, and it has a wax resist over the leaf to where when I glaze it, that bare clay will be exposed, and then you can still see the leaf veins. So basically what I do is called a pour and pop method. So that's why you see these 20-gallon buckets of glaze. I'm basically just going to pop the bottom in a color, come back and pour it with a mixing cup, and then that's how I get the glaze on the inside. So we'll start out and we'll do some classic white. It's easy to do. All right, now the fun part is I get to use a drill. All right, now there's two ways I could go about doing this. These are one of the most useful tools in the glazing room. These are just some tongs, is what we call them. This is another type of glazing tool that I use. But it just makes it to where I don't have to touch the pot, and I can get it on the board without really any marks or anything. So, just gonna take it, dip it all the way down, give a little count, and the fun part of shaking it all off. Now you can see it, I shook some of it off and some of it's still on there, but once it dries, we'll be able to come back with a sponge just like this, and we'll wipe the rest of that glaze off the leaf, and then there you go. I'll show another one to you. It's a pretty good arm workout. There we go. Now, let's try to do some different colors. Now this one, I'm going to go to my favorite, Timiku. Now this one's going to be a little bit different. I'm going to layer a color on first, and then I'm going to come back and base the whole thing just like I kind of did these. So that way you get two different colors. A lot of shaking, always shaking. I'll do one more in this color. All right. Now as you can tell, they all kind of have a different rate of drying. Some colors are going to dry a little bit different, just kind of depends on the thickness of the glaze itself. So now, the fun part, we get to mix up another glaze. We're going to go this one with the yellow. All right, then grab my trusty tongs. As you can see, the yellow, the wax repels a lot better off of it, and that just has to do with the thickness of the glaze. Voila. And each glaze, they all have their own separate count, and the count just means how long I hold the pot in the glaze. And that'll determine the actual color and how it turns out and everything like that.
So the color at the top, how's that? It burns back through and...
Yeah, you'll just be able to see this color underneath because of the layering. So because I put this one on first and then put the yellow over it, this part will turn out, this is a color we've had for a long time called Smoky Mountain Sunshine. So that's one of our more popular colors. We also do it in our dinnerware and things like that. I'm trying to hold it a little bit longer on just the bare clay to where it soaks in better there. Because with layering, it can be too thick for sure sometimes. So you got to be real careful whenever you're putting multiple colors on the same pot. This is what we use, just canning wax for the bottom of the pot. But each pot, it's going to sit on a kiln, so I have to make sure that the bottom isn't glazed, because otherwise it would stick to the kiln shelf. So we just use your average canning wax. Put it in there like that. Give it a few little shakes. And now the bottom's waxed. So now I don't have to worry about glaze getting on the bottom and me having to sit here and wipe it off with a sponge or anything like that. So. All right, we'll do good mountain color, because I know we'll probably have one of these in that colorway out there. And this is our red. Mountain is a red base, and then I layer it with Miami, and then I'll pop it in either yellow or lady blue, white, black, things like that. There's all sorts of different options with it. This is definitely one of our more thick glazes, but it requires a high count to it, so I'll have to hold it in there for quite a while. Just kind of shaking it around to make sure it gets an even line all the way around it. Try to shake it as much as I can. There we go, first layer done. Now we got to wait on that to dry, and then I'll be able to come back, pour the inside with glaze, and bring that down over it. And this, I'm just trying to wipe off all that extra glaze while it's wet over the leaf, but not wet on the pot itself. As you can see, it wipes off pretty easily. There we go. All right. Hopefully I have enough Miami to dip that long handle in there. I didn't think about that. Right. Now, just use your average measuring cup. Right. Shake it off a little bit. Now I'm just trying to glaze the inside of the pot. So I'll pour all that in there. Shake it around a little bit. And then pour it out as slow as I can. Make sure I get all the inside. Now I'm going to count this. Get a nice cross. And there we go.
And that one's finished. That's everything you'll do to it, or will you do?
I'll have to pop one more time just on the top. And here's where you can kind of start getting creative. Normally I'll pop it in Lady Blue, but I mean you can have your choice just about of any glaze and pop it in another color and it'll look completely different. Another one we do a lot of is the yellow and the black over it. Those two combinations are very popular. So there you go. Brand new. And then I can go ahead and put the last color on the top of it so it's ready to go. And that one I'll do Lady Blue just because it's classic. There we go. Now just got to let it dry and then we'll be ready to fire. All right, so these are after they've been fired. These were the two colors that I was working on. This is your classic white right here. This is what it looks like after it's been fired.
How do those black specks get in there?
That's the glaze itself.
It really does that.
Yep. We can kind of be vanilla beanish in that way. If it's thinner, then that's the way it comes out.
Is that something you put in the glaze to make that happen?
No, that's just one of the raw materials that's in the glaze itself that comes out like that. It could also be, depending on what type of clay that you use, some of that will come out through the clay as well. Here's the other color. This is our Smoky Mountain Sunshine. So you can kind of see the two different layers. And then obviously you see the bare clay through the leaf.
Yeah.
So here we got our red base that you see here. And this one turned out exceptionally well, in my opinion, because you get all of this darker tones to it, which is pretty rare. See all these dark red tones? And sometimes we refer to that as ox blood when it comes out like that. But this is our blue, and then I've popped it in Lady Blue. So that's how you kind of get this waterfall effect to it. And then this purple color comes from the blue over the red. So you get a nice purple band right in the middle. And that's our classic mountain color. This is a sprayed plate. So I've based it in red. That's your red base. And then I've sprayed two different colors over that. I started with the Miami. So that's how you kind of get the purple. And then I layered it with Lady Blue as well. And that's how you get all those really electric blue colors. But this would be nearly impossible to do with the pouring technique, so it has to be done with a spray gun. And then this is another technique that I do. This is an actual, I can do this poured. So this is three different colors, and then this is what you get when you blend the three colors together. So and it's kind of difficult to find three colors that complement each other well. So these can be very time consuming, but they're gorgeous when they turn out. All right, and
What's the story on that one? Did you get a little murderous up there?
yeah, this is you see this a lot of with Robert's older stuff. We'll base it one color, and then we'll take a brush and dip it in colors, and then really just splatter it with it. So it's a unique blend of colors together, but I really like that one. Reminds me of the older stuff. This is actually something new. This is a wax resist, so we'll It's a coaster, and we painted a tree with wax, and then I base it and pop it in another color, and that's how you get that bare clay tree right there. So just a little something different. These are some of my favorite colors. You get your classic Timucu base, and then this is our Lady Blue on itself, actually. It's Lady Blue layered on itself. And it's one of our prettier combinations, in my opinion. This is, red with the mountain at the top as well. This is stony. It's mostly used as a base. And then this is a color we call Stormy, which is a layer of 3 different colors. It's Timucu, our Miami, and then Lady Blue. And to me, it kind of just looks like a storm in the sky. So that's where that one came from. This is our red gold, and that's a very earth tone color, but it's gorgeous. And then we have blue, our Miami with Lady Blue over top of it. This definitely is the definition of fall, in my opinion. Now this one, it starts off as a normal pot, and then Katie cuts the top off in a pattern and then draws this pattern into the clay. And then that's what it really highlights the glaze and makes the glaze look pretty.
And the colors you have going on there?
I've got a red base on the bottom, and then this is your Miami with Lady Blue over it, but I put Lady Blue on the inside, and it's very pretty by itself. So this is your typical mountain, but it just, it looks different depending on the type of pot that you put it on. So, but one of the more gorgeous pots we got in the shop. And this is one of our cabin cutout series, and this one has a red base, and then I've put Timucu on it, then yellow, and then I put red back over that. And those 3 colors blend very well. You get all sorts of different colors and effects. The cutouts are done by my fiance, Katie, and she hand draws all these and cuts them out herself. No stencil needed, so all done by hand. And this one's red base, and then the Miami over the top with Lady Blue, and then that nice purple band on it. And this one's a beautiful church. She's done.
Inside.
Get a lot of purple and dark reds in there.